Hi and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. Today, we're talking oxygen sensors. The oxygen sensors found screwed into the exhaust system closer to the engine than to the tailpipe. Its job is to measure the engine's exhaust gases and present the engine management system with an air to fuel, or AFR, ratio measurement. This AFR reading is what us tuners are looking at when we're adjusting the engine's fueling requirements and the value that's displayed on the dyno screen or dyno printout after the engine's been tuned. There are two styles of oxygen sensors. There's wideband and narrowband oxygen sensors. The narrowband sensors typically have up to 4 wires coming out of them and, as the name suggests, only measure a very narrow window of air to fuel mixtures, around 0.99 to 1.01 lambda, or 14.6 to 14.8 in the petrol AFR scale. These sensors are typically found in older cars and are used to let the ECU know if the engine's running at stoic 1.00 lambda or 14.7 petrol AFR or not. Typically, while the engine's idling and cruising around under light load, so let's say under 40% throttle, the engine would be running this measurable mixture and the signal from the narrowband oxygen sensor would be fed into the ECU so it can perform a correction based on this value. Let's say the engine is running a little too rich, so too much fuel, or too lean, not enough fuel. The ECU will perform what we call closed loop O2 correction and make an adjustment to the overall fueling in order to keep the engine running at its optimum air to fuel ratio of 14.7 to 1 or 1.00 lambda. But what happens when an engine's running an air to fuel ratio that a narrowband sensor can't measure? Well, nothing. The sensor sends the ECU its signal to let it know that the engine's gone out of measurable range, and if it's not within the closed loop O2 operating parameters, it just waits until it is again. This is where the wideband O2 sensor comes into play. A wideband sensor looks similar to a narrowband, but typically has 6 wires and a bulkier mating connector to the engine harness. It also needs complicated electronics to control the magic inside the sensor, while the narrowband signal can be read by a simple ECU input. This means that you might find a little wideband sensor controller between the sensor and the ECU. This controller does all the work, then sends a simple 0 to 5 volt signal or a CAN message to the ECU to let it know the air to fuel ratio. Alternatively, the wideband sensor could be wired directly to the dedicated inputs on the ECU. This would be known as a built-in wideband controller if your ECU's got that. Regardless of the brand of wideband controller, the 0 to 5 volt signal can be fed into our range of Haltech ECUs in order to use the advanced functionality of a wideband sensor. Why do you need a wideband? Well, remember before how I said a narrowband sensor only tells the ECU if it's around 14.7 or not? This means the ECU could only perform closed loop O2 control when we're targeting a mixture of 14.7 to 1. A wideband O2 sensor measures air to fuel ratios of around 0.68 or 1.36 lambda, or 10 to 20 to 1 petrol AFR. So a wide operating range that's pretty much what most conventional petrol engines use. This means the ECU can be monitoring the actual air-fuel ratio, checking back against the tuner's desired air-fuel ratio, and then make changes to make sure that the target and actual are always the same. We can even perform what we call long-term learning, so that each time the target and actual air-fuel ratios don't match, the ECU will record and apply a correction, so it's not correcting the same error over and over again. As you drive the car, the tune-up gets better and better. Why would there be an error, you ask? This could be down to different climatic conditions like temperatures and pressure. It could be related to the fuel temperature, intercooler efficiency on the dyno compared to on the road, or parts of the fuel map that are simply hard to simulate on a dyno. It'd be hugely time consuming to tune every potential temperature for every sensor on every custom modified engine. And it's for that exact reason why a wideband oxygen sensor and long-term fuel learning is an absolute must for your modified car. Further to this, with a wideband oxygen sensor, you can set operating limits to protect the engine. For example, if the engine was at, say, 4,000 RPM and the boost pressure is higher than 15 pounds, you could set an engine protection limp state if the air-fuel ratio was, say, leaner than 13 to 1 or whatever you and your tuner choose. This, coupled with the increased fuel economy and performance that closed loop O2 control offers, make choosing a wideband oxygen sensor the obvious choice. Now, if you've got any questions about narrow or wideband oxygen sensors, leave them in the comments. As always, see you next week.